I'm Gentleman Josh Hill.
I'm Aaron Jeffrey.
I'm Johnson Jazz Busiest.
I'm Mike Malak.
I'm Rafian Stock.
Tune into
Don't Tap
podcast.
Don't tap
podcast.
John Jones.
Follow me on Twitter.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
To me, the Lions are the number one rankings out there. Those guys are the ones who...
All right, man. So I don't mean to interrupt you in the middle of looking at donuts and desserts and snacks, because I see that's what you've been posting on Instagram the past while. Why do that to yourself when you're going through a weight cut, man? Why? Is that to keep that edge?
I don't know. I just enjoy it, man. Like, knowing I can't have it, but, like, I'm going to get to fight, beat somebody up, and then enjoy it afterwards. Like, I don't know. There's something there that I enjoy. So
you're padding it into the whole strategy to going in there and kicking someone's ass is what you're telling me.
It's kind of like weird motivation.
Got you. So what you're telling me is it's Carlos' fault that you're not allowed to eat these donuts and he's going to pay for it.
Exactly. Essentially.
That makes complete sense, man. I get it. That makes complete sense. So you right now are sort of in that downtime, you know, weight cutting right now. The camp is set. The overthinking needs to be left aside. The game plan is there. The coaches that you have in your corner are absolutely solid, in Lyndon Whitlock, coming out of Aegis. And then I know that you were even been down at Grant Brothers working with Stevie Dubs doing some boxing, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But talk about your opponent, man. This is the one thing I can claim ignorance to. I didn't get a chance to tape anything on your opponent. Talk to me about your opponent and the challenges he brings, and then we'll go from there.
His challenges he brings, honestly, it's nothing I haven't seen before. Like, he's got decent striking, decent grappling, like 5'9", 5'10" height. So he's going to be an orthodox guy, throwing some right hands and shooting for the hips. Nothing I haven't seen before. I'm completely ready for him. And then
for you, it's no mystery where you want the fight to take place. You want to keep it on the feet, right? That's it, and that's what it comes down to. In your last fight, I know you were taken down a couple times. You get to the hands quick, you get to those overhooks, and you're working it. Obviously, with every camp being so young in your career, every wrinkle is going to get shored up, and you're working on grappling. But I noticed one thing that you were working on. You're down at Grant Brothers and you're working with Stevie Dubs. Is there a strategy to work more boxing into your actual fighting to sort of work, you know, that footwork to stay away from the takedowns?
100%, yeah. Incorporating more footwork is huge, just being on the outside. Because if I can be at an offensive angle, it's tough to hit my hips to begin with, right? So for sure, the boxing has been a huge key.
And talk about that, because you're Muay Thai based, correct?
Yes, I'm Muay Thai based, yeah. But honestly,
go ahead.
But honestly, I have a hybrid style of Muay Thai anyway. Like, I'm not really a traditional Muay Thai striker to the sense where, like, I have a certain flat-footed rhythm or something like that. I actually play the range game. I like to box and finish with nice combinations. So I'm definitely not a traditional Muay Thai guy.
No, and you do look more, it's more kickboxing looking. You're more on the outside as well, too. But even talk about that, though, with the difference between Muay Thai base and boxing as far as the footwork and the importance of, you know, when you're facing a wrestler, anyways, regardless as far as, you know, with fighters that are coming in that may have that Muay Thai base, they love the damage and they're getting into MMA. Maybe talk to them about getting that footwork in there, getting that boxing in there as well, too.
Oh, my God. It's huge because, like, in Muay Thai, there's no takedowns, right? So they are, like, a little bit feet closer together, like light on their front leg, right? Because they're playing a whole different game based on range only for strikes, right? And even when they do clinch up, it's only with the basis for striking, right? So you get into, like, a flat-footed rhythm or, like, you play at a range which isn't really ideal when wrestling is involved. So there's a huge adjustment that needs to happen going from Muay Thai into MMA, and it's a range thing.
For sure. And now with you, you've been fighting in Southern Ontario. The energy in Southern Ontario right now is like, I've never seen it. I'll be honest, man. Like I worked doing stuff down at UFC 129, wannabe reporter, trying to get on a YouTube channel way back then. And with all of that, it was not like 289. The way that it played out, like, don't get me wrong, I left UFC 129. I was really excited leaving the building. But the way that they swept the card, the way that everybody went in, like Jasmine just went in there and punked everybody. Like, basically just said, oh, I can't strike, and struck the way that she did what she needed to do, and then she went and did her wrestling. Mike just went and did what we expected him to do. I'm going to get you to talk about that later, but just all the energy, man, all the gyms, the Golden Horseshoe. Talk about this right now, what it is to be a fighter in Southern Ontario.
Oh my God, it's huge. The energy is huge, man. Like you said, we're making, like, guys in Ontario are making waves in the UFC at the highest level. Like, Mike Malot's slot, like he was right before Oliveira and Darius, right? Which are two huge names, man. Like the momentum that we're carrying just based on that alone is huge. And then everything that came before was Kyle Nelson, Jasmine. You said it. Like, my goodness, Ontario is on fire, and I feel blessed to be part of the team and part of that rise of Ontario. We're fucking coming.
That's it. Never mind, even your teammate, Sirius City, on Friday went in and did his job. Like, man, that dude's a problem. Like we have a problem here.
That dude's a problem. Oh my god, he's so composed too. That's the thing, because like early on in the fight, the guy got like a takedown off a low kick, and Sirius like so composed about it, right? And like the second they made it back up to range, like you can kind of see it in the opponent's eyes, like, oh my god, I kind of got to where I needed to be, and nothing happened, nothing came of it. And so like Sirius is just so skilled, so good everywhere, man. Like he deserves to be in the UFC, no doubt about it.
And what does that mean for you to see a guy like Siri? Like he's been in the rooms, he's been working, and finally he's starting to get that crack. What does it mean for you to see something like that as you're now making your waves in MMA?
It's huge and it's motivating. And to be honest, for me, like I have a close friendship with him too. So just like forgetting the training part about it, like that we're teammates, we spar all the time, whatever. Just seeing my friend do so well, like it just makes my heart happy, you know.
Well, they say like, with champions, once you're a champion, you're 30% better. But what does that mean for teams when they're doing well in momentum? Like Niagara Top Team is also an example of that. The momentum just continues to build. Like the wins versus losses ratio at that camp is absolutely nuts in the past 3 years. And everywhere in Ontario, man. Like ATC is making a big comeback as well too. Like the fight promotions are coming up. We got Unified coming up as well too. But let's talk about BTC, man. You seem to be a pretty cerebral fighter. I watch a lot of people's accounts to see who's really breaking down fights, who's writing stuff on intricately. Not all fighters look at fights intricately. Some just go in and their coach tells them what to do. They do it, rinse and repeat. And some fighters really are analytical and break things down at a high level. I think that's what we have here with you. So I'd love to be able to start to break down some fights with you on a regular. That would be awesome.
I love that.
For you now, we have your opponent. I know you said he doesn't pose too much. But let's look at you in any situation that you could find yourself in. If you're on your back, what's the mental process for you? You know, say if you're in a situation that you don't necessarily want to be in, you might be a little bit tired, you hear your coach. Talk to me, walk me through your mental process when you're in trials and tribulations in the cage.
Yeah, honestly, you try to like pre-prepare for that stuff, right? Like even before going into the fight, I am picturing scenarios where I am on my back or I get taken down or he has my back or in some sort of weird way. Like you never know, he can slip on a banana peel. It doesn't matter, right? But yeah, I've been through those scenarios in my head, and like mentally for sure, I'm ready to go through those and like just get that win any way necessary, you know.
And then on the flip side of things, say you have a wrestler that's been shooting takedown after takedown, you're stuffing them, you're getting into the hands early, you're locking things up. He doesn't know what to do and he starts to huff. Now we're looking at a situation where he can't breathe and he's standing with you. Mentally, what do you got to prepare? What do you got to make sure that you're not doing? And how are you sort of thinking in that moment?
Honestly, the way you laid it out just got me super excited, right? Of course, because that's the scenario I want, someone tired in front of me, right? But yeah, what I have to be careful of for sure is like getting overzealous and closing the range off, right? Like we said, like the difference between Muay Thai and MMA. Like I can't, just because the guy's hurt or tired, I can't just get into a super close range position, right? Because that's when they can shoot underneath and I lose my golden opportunity, right? So even if I have somebody hurt or tired, it's so key to like make sure I'm maintaining a certain amount of distance, right? To stop the shot or be able to deal with it as it comes.
And then actually, this is sort of a great transition into something that you had pointed out online. Someone that closes range so well is Mike Malott. And he'll do his step through shots. And I watched out like in camp where he was doing this with Cruella and nonstop. He just generates power with those hooks when he does that step through. And then you sort of analyzed as he's doing that step through what he was doing as far as that teep. Because I could see he was planting that teep just in that belly. Even before they did in the highlights, you could see it was a little subtle thing that you could see. He was planting that teep in that belly, just bread basket, taking away that gas a little bit, making him thinking about it. And then I'll tee you up. Talk to me about that closing sequence.
It was honestly, it was so beautiful, man. Like it was such a beautiful closing sequence because like Fugit literally just threw a push kick at him. So Fugit throws a push kick, Malott knows, like, subconsciously, he fakes it. He fakes it in return because that was the last strike few get through, right? Gets a great reaction. And like you said, man, like the transition as he steps through to get like the leverage behind the hook as he steps through, and then the follow up behind it. It's just like such good coordination, balance, and like efficiency in his striking. And like to me, what's most impressive is like his ability to go through that sequence and like to use Fugit's strike against him immediately, like without thinking out. He's not even thinking in there, right? It's just subconscious. Like Fugit throws a push kick, he's like, okay, push kick, fakes his, and then he's gone, right? It's like such high level stuff, and like you can see the way his mind works in moments like that, like just genius.
Watching him and Krua then like sort of strategize, and it's so subtle when they're working their pads. They're not talking too much, but it's just the way that they do it. It's masterful to watch, and it's pretty cool to see that we have Canadian fighters now on the rise. Now, in that breakdown, what I was going to ask you, I want you to sort of go through the card. We have BTC. I want to big up BTC this weekend. We're here in Burlington. We have Adam Asenza going up against Polo Reyes.
Adam's a stud, man. Any way you
100%.
look at it, he's an absolute stud. Like, and his skill set is unique, right? Like, so anybody who's fighting him, you're not gonna find a sparring partner or training partner that's like Adam. You know, Adam has a very unique style that works very well. And offensively, he has a lot of gifts. Defensively, he has a lot of gifts as well. Like, he's a phenomenal fighter, and I do think he's going to have a very good time fighting Polo Reyes. I think it's going to go swimmingly.
Man, he's got some power in his hands.
Oh, my God.
That is for sure. Man's got some pop in it. And it's like that sneaky shit, that stuff that you don't see. Like, you're like, oh, shit, and Buddy's backing up. So it's nice to see. Let's sweep some cards this weekend, that's for sure. We look at Ashley Nichols. I talked to her this week, or last week, actually. Her podcast is going to be going up tomorrow. With her, I know that she wants to have the bounce back from LFA. I know that she's been shoring up her grappling like crazily. But a high-level glory kickboxing and Muay Thai practitioner. Let's talk about her.
Oh, she's an absolute stud as well. And she's actually someone I knew before MMA, just through the Muay Thai scenario. Like, we have shared cards before. So, yeah, Ashley's a phenomenal striker, and like all the work she's been putting in at NTT, like she's, like you said, shoring up her wrestling, no doubt about it. I do think this matchup favors her a lot, and I do think she's going to be able to keep the length, use her kicks and solid knees if it gets in tight to get the win.
Anybody else on the card? I know we have Jared Drummond. We have multiple different Canadians on the card as well too. Alex Guzman. Talk about some of the fighters on the card and highlight some of the matchups that you find interesting.
I think Liam Gallagher versus Noah Crossell is going to be a great fight. I definitely think Liam's going to have a very good performance, and I think it's going to go well for him. I think he gets to finish somewhere in 2 rounds.
Does Liam have a chip on his shoulder right now?
Oh, my God. Does he ever? Liam's very hungry to get back in there, no doubt about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm going to message him and see if I can even maybe talk to him either pre-fight or post-fight as well too. But another prospect coming out of Ontario that's absolutely amazing as well too. And the one thing I want to talk about too, and Josh Hill now representing athletes in Ontario. You know, I know that you have a connection with Josh Hill as well too, working with him. Talk about how important that is to have someone that speaks for you literally in the process.
It's absolutely incredible, especially with the connection who he signed with, right? Sucker Punch is a top 5 management. Sucker Punch is top 5 in MMA worldwide, no doubt about it. So to have those connections is like, wow. You know, it's going to be huge for my career. And once I get this win on Saturday, right, and we keep on getting the ball rolling, then I'm going to be able to make it to the big show easier because of those connections, right? And I'm definitely on that path.
Now, for you, this is the one question I ask every fighter, right? Your preparation is everybody's preparation is based on fighting away from the worst case scenario, which is usually your fear, right? Some fighters will say their cardio, they need to show up nonstop because they don't want to be gassing at the end, feel like they're drowning. Some will say they don't want to underperform, whatever it is under the lights. What is your biggest fear in the cage, and what do you do to not only mentally or physically prepare to stay away from that?
Honestly, mine, you actually named mine. Mine is underperforming in the cage, and and I feel like I've done that in the past, and I think it shows that I've came in underprepared mentally and stuff like that. And what I had to do to fix it was like do a lot of mental training, seek out someone else, like Mike Malott's mental coach. I had to seek him out a few times, like, and I seeked out Josh Hill and
FDP coach and Cerebral Champion.
Yeah, Danny Patterson and Cerebral Champion. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't name drop them. Fuck.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. But FPP coach and cerebral champion, yeah, they really helped me, and just reading books as well. And to be honest, Series City played a role in it as well, just kind of like handing me a few books and guiding me into some mental training.
And what did you learn about yourself and losses that you've had? What have you learned, and what have you sort of taken away from some of those losses?
Honestly, to eliminate distractions like outside of the cage, and like just shore up everything and make sure that you're completely dialed in, not just in the training room, you know, because like anybody can show up to practice and like just practice the entire time, but you have to be a professional outside the cage in terms of your life, you know, like getting everything in order with like family, whatever, XYZ.
That makes sense, man. If everything else isn't cleaned up, then how are you gonna have a clean slate when you get in that cage and you know, have to perform? Then talk about your process throughout the week. So you have your last week leading in. Talk about that mental preparation. You know, you're stay a couple days out, and then talk about right under the lights. You're mentally preparing to walk under that tunnel and get into the cage.
So like I'll start with right before the fight. So right before the fight, at that point, the mental work's done, right? Like at this point, it's letting my body take over and letting myself perform. It's not about necessarily my mind, what's going on in my mind anymore, right? It's just about trusting my instinct, trusting my skill, and letting it go. But in terms of like the week before the fight, I will do like a few like visualization sessions where like I just take time out of the day, vision myself like walking out there, the crowd roaring, you know, the announcer calling me in, right? The fight starting, you know, the whole 15 minutes, you know, even though I don't think it's going to go 15 minutes, you know, I still fucking visualize for 15 minutes. And then, yeah, worst case scenarios happen, best case scenarios happen, and then just deal with them accordingly in my head.
And now for yourself, you seem like you're very visual as far as the way that you're thinking about things. Are you a tape watcher, a lot of tape, or do you leave that to the coach?
Leave that up to the coach now, because I have, like, in my Muay Thai career and in my MMA career a little bit, I've definitely overwatched people, you know, and like now I'm overwatching their skill set and worrying about things that necessarily I wouldn't even have to worry about because of the skill sets I present, right? And then it presents mental blocks that I wouldn't normally have to deal with if I just kind of just trusted my coach and trusted myself.
That makes sense. I mean, when you're watching your own tape, sometimes I guess own ego gets in the way as to how you want to do it and what's going on, and the coach will cut through all of that and find the cleanest, shortest route. So, talk about your coaches. Talk about Lyndon Whitlock. That man is a bad man.
He's a hard man. That guy. I'm scared of that.
That man runs shit.
I'm kind of scared of him. I can't even lie, but I feel like that's the way my relationship with him should be, because I'm not even gonna lie. At some parts I can be a little bit like undisciplined or lazy. Not in my training, like I'll still train, but like in my mental stuff or what I'm doing outside the gym or XYZ. So him being
donuts.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
right?
Making
like
glazed donuts.
Mm-hmm. Chasing girls, like shit like that.
Chasing girls. Maple donuts, yeah.
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 So like he keeps me in check. So he's important, you know. And Paul's the opposite in terms of like he doesn't scare me, you know. He's much more friendly and welcoming, but he's got such a good mind for jiu-jitsu and like creating positions and opportunities to either create submissions or, for me in my case, like make space and get up, like that. I have such a strong relationship with him as well, even though it's different.
And the one thing that I will leave you with, because there was one thing when I was watching tape on you and I was seeing how you're getting to the hands quick, and it's not that I'm making a comparison to it, but I think the best example of a striker that wants to stay on the feet was Leon Edwards against Kamaru Usman in the last fight. No one really noticed how fast that man got to his hands. Every time he shot, there was no, like, his hands would not get clasping together. They were locked away. And so for you, do you draw on some inspiration like that sometimes in certain fights?
Absolutely. From Leon Edwards, from Israel, like from guys like that, like strikers who made it, right? Of course, I'm looking at these guys, like even like in times where it was kind of grim or whatever, I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, dude, if I can fucking fix up my wrestling a little bit, I'm going to be one of those guys, you know? So it's like, for sure, I draw huge inspiration watching those guys.
And on the outro, what I want you to do, if you could just, I want you to do your plug for BTC. So let's set this fight up. Cut me a promo, bro. Let's go. Come on.
Make sure you come out to BTC 20, Saturday, June 17th. I'm going to finish this guy by knockout.
All right. So first, second, third.
First or second. I can't really guarantee first or second round, but I know it's going to be.
Well, Mike Malott said, don't worry about the round, worry about the condition.
100%.
There you go. All right, man. And on that note, you know I got to get you to do it. Say your name, say your organization, and then tune into the Don't Tap podcast.
Hey, my name is Amin Almelik. I fight for BTC Fight Promotion. Tune into the Don't Tap podcast.
Perfect. All right, brother. Thank you very much for all your time. I know like the week right before a fight, it's sort of brutal to be able to do stuff, but I appreciate it. And I'd love to have you on if you're up for like breaking down UFC fights and Bellator fights coming up. I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'd love to.
All right, man.
Take care.
Go kick his ass.